The 309th AMRG shops the world's biggest series of Navy plane right here within inside the Arizona desert. I like to name this the ugliest aircraft out right here, the YC-14. It changed into an M plane that by no means went into production. 800 mechanics and engineers paintings reclaiming vital vintage parts and regenerating plane so that it will move lower back into service. I cannot simply pull over and plane like you may a car, and we ought to make certain that those plane are secure to fly. Our intention isn't always to be like a cemetery for the plane. That's Boneyard, a 25-year Army veteran mechanic. As a commander right here, I am in price of the entire operation. The properties saved right here are really well worth someplace between $34 billion and $35 billion. In case you have been to attempt to update them all, it's a huge number. She took us into this big facility to peer how those Navy planes get a 2D threat at life. A MARG were given its begin lower back in 1946. After World War II, the Army wished an area to save vintage planes. They selected Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, right here in Tucson. With almost 2,000 football fields really well worth of open desert, there has been masses of space. We're acknowledged global because the Boneyard. Our men take delight in being Boneyard ranked. Arizona has the appropriate weather for storing those property. It's hot, there is little rainfall, no humidity, and the soil, it's as difficult as concrete. So planes may not sink. The dryness, as well as the dearth of acidity inside the soil, prevent corrosion at the property. Retired plane or property come from all around the world. We have approximately 100 airplanes. The planes are in General Navy. They come from the Air Force, the Navy, the Army, and the Marines. We have over 80 different kinds of airplanes right here. Planes and helicopters arrive and are coded up in sections. So we are using down show row right here, or movie star row, as a few human beings name it. We do have a humorousness right here. That's our stealth plane. That is without a doubt simply Wonder Woman's jet. The LC-130s have skis along with their touchdown gear, so that it will land down in Antarctica and assist the National Science Foundation. All throughout that continent, we're arising on a NASA plane. It's affectionately referred to as the Vama Comet. Some plane can be right here 4 weeks earlier. Then they may be referred to as lower back into service. Other plane may be right here for 50 years. Like this of course, each aircraft is going through a upkeep process earlier than it is placed within inside the desert. Every 4 years, planes are preserved again. They're defueled. Then oil is pumped through the engine to keep it. The black fabric that we've got on right here is the bottom layer that seals up the plane. And then later, as you could see, the relaxation of the plane round right here. The coats on pinnacle are white, and the one's white coats will mirror the heat, so it higher preserves the assets all at the inner of the plane. Like the inner of this C-5A Galaxy. The inner of the C-5 is the biggest shipment plane within inside the Air Force inventory. I actually have deployed on those. On 1 in all 8 deployments that KO Barnard has had, to Turkey, Afghanistan, New Zealand, and Antarctica. And we will healthy 3 HH-60 helicopters and loads of our device that we want, in addition to all our maintainers. We have simply over 60 of them right here, and each one in all them wishes 72 airplanes are designed to fly, and while it receives a bit breezy out right here, we need to make certain they live parked. But now no longer each aircraft simply sits around gathering dust. U.S. Army gadgets across the world can request specific elements off those planes, and plane has so many heaps of elements. Just like a reservoir keeps matters if you want them, and then we launch what is out of the reservoir as needed. And a number of the elements the Army can best locate right here at a MARG. We are that assurance that there is a element available, while the deliver system principle resets. Do not get it. We ship everywhere from 4,000 to 7,000 elements out each year to the track of a few million greenbacks every week. Really well worth of deliver elements. Scott and James right here are putting off the engines from the again of this. T-38 is a reclamation effort due to the fact those were requested to move again into service. So as soon as the crews reclaim the elements out with inside the wilderness and produce them into the quid of this building, they get washed, they get known unfavorable inspection, and they are going 2% and deliver those proper out the door as rapid as we will. But sometimes, as opposed to being scrapped for elements, an entire aircraft may be regenerated. That means they will pull it out of the wilderness and wash it down. We must eliminate all of the coatings which might be used to keep the plane out with inside the wilderness. After getting a nice shower, it is constant up. What our group is operating on, here's a C-130. It really is being regenerated for overseas Army sales. In this hangar, the current task that we are operating on is F-16s. in post-block repair. It's a package deal of structural improvements at the plane to extend their flyable life. The base additionally handles plane modifications. These planes come from US Gadgets, which might be energetic proper now. And then they get a few paintings executed on them, and that they cross again, out to that identical unit. So we are capable of improve the ones. We have all of the middle portions of the A-10 wings being rebuilt right here, and the outer portions being rebuilt there. There's truly masses of pieces, inner of an plane wing. The complexity and the extent of structure, it is genuinely eye-commencing for lots folks. Each set of wings can take as much as 20,000 guy hours to overhaul. Once components are fixed, they undergo an intensive inspection. We're right here in the known and favorable inspection area. Pete's running on a fluorescent dye pen. It's essentially a liquid that absorbs into cracks, and we are able to observe a black mild to it. And you may see there may be a crack proper right here that suggests up. This crack proper right here on this component, with inside the touchdown gear on a purpose catastrophic failure at the touchdown gear. Not a unmarried crack on a whole aircraft can get beyond this team. We ought to ensure that those planes are secure to fly in order that we shield that asset and we shield the air crew that is inner of that asset. So the stakes are quite high. Once fixed, the planes undergo a rigorous very last flight check. Pilot Scott Thompson is testing those regenerated F-16s. I will take them out to the airspace simply south of right here. Close, sufficient to where if I do have a problem, I can get returned onto the floor immediately and quite a good deal. Put them through the ringer. We check flight controls, and the handling, and the engine performance, and all of the structures at the aircraft quite extensively, in any respect altitudes. They exit to become full-scale aerial targets. That's a satisfied finishing foray. Aircraft pulled from the wilderness right here at AMAR, but for a different plane. That is the cease of the line. The planes marked with a huge DR destroyed with the aid of using a third birthday celebration contractor. So those are our men. That painting's the DeMille, and that they put together plane for disposal. Well, and that gets out of the manner of the crowbar. I'm quite top at destruction too. However, you men are being brilliant, cautious, approximately it, that you have to be. The planes are demolished for top reason. We'll ensure everything's accounted for and that the substances and the technology do not fall into the incorrect hands. While a few Americans won't have heard of AMARG, it truly saves taxpayers quite a few money. The property saved right here are worth someplace between $34 billion and $35 billion. And so as to make a new one won't be possible, as opposed to rejuvenate an antique one, is probably the best case scenario. But for the workers, it is now no longer pretty much saving the Navy a few money. It's additionally approximately giving those planes any other life. A lot of those airplanes have not flown for a totally lengthy time. I flew quite a few, them operationally returned within inside the day. It's terrific to get returned in them and convey them return to life. These airplanes have a lot of memories to tell, and it's outstanding to spend time with them and reflect on consideration on that. There are only a few people in the military which might be fortunate sufficient to be assigned here. It's only a pleasure to be able to paintings with those people each day and be around those airplanes.